Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we're finally going to learn how to actually install Koha on your Debian OS. So the first thing that you want to do, online there's a lot of guides that you could look up for the command lines to put into the terminal. So just looking that up on Firefox is pretty easy. So you could have the step-by-step each the step-by-step commands that you would need to enter each and every time. So I found that this web page has the most thorough instructions that are also up to date. So it is Virtual World Solutions. Now you may see that it says an installation on Ubuntu, but because Ubuntu and Debian are both Linux based, the same steps apply. So we're going to be following we're going to be following this guide here with some changes. There are some one or two changes that we're going to make our lives easier. um, Nothing too drastic, and if you need to refer back to remember what the changes are, this video will always be here for that case. So now, it does take a while to actually install because the loading times to get everything can take quite long. So if you are going to officially install it on your Debian virtual machine, ensure that you are not using the computer for anything else during that time period, and you should be fine. So I don't want this terminal to disappear every time you have to copy the command code. So I'm just going to right click, and then I'm going to click on always on top, and there you go. Now, if you are already the admin, if you have like an official admin account, you could sign in to that account and then go ahead to do the terminal. But for us, because well, not for us, but for me, because I'm using a user account, I have to elevate the user account to an admin account. So I have to enter sudo su, hit enter, and now I have to enter the password, and now we're in. So I have pre-installed Koha. I've already gone through the process, so I'm not gonna have as much of a load time. So it's not, so what I'm doing, the steps I'm showing you is not reflective of what the actual load time would be. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to add the Koha repository, and before adding it, we have to update our system packages. This is just to make sure everything is up to date and suitable for the repository so we could have everything running on its latest version. So sudo apt update. Oops. Now, you just come here, highlight, copy, then paste, enter. Okay. Now we have to prevent installation warnings. Oops, don't look at that. To prevent installation warnings, we have to add a repository key to the apt. So we're just gonna take this line, copy, paste, and hit enter. Just gonna resize this a little bit. Then this line. So the installation process is pretty simple, all things considered, because like I said, if you just look the guide up online, just to get the commands that you need to enter into your terminal. Okay, and now we just have to update again. Now we have to add the Koha community repository. You want to make sure that this says Koha stable main and not old stable. Old stable has to do with previous versions. That's you would usually use old stable if you want to run like a demo of Koha if you're still unsure. So if you want to run a demo, you could probably look at that. But if you are doing the full installation that you want it to work right from the get-go and just set everything up after it's installed, you want to make sure this says stable main. Then hit enter. Now we have to update and upgrade. Now it says Ubuntu, but it also works for Debian. So sudo apt update. Sudo, oops. Now you add sudo apt upgrade. Continue. And now sudo apt clean. Now we get to actually install the latest Koha release. So that would be sudo apt get install Koha common. Now that that's done, we have to configure our server. So copy. Now, here is where we meet the first difference. So according to this guide, we have to change intraport to 8001 and OPAC port to 8002. What I want you to do actually is change intraport to 8080 and OPAC port to 8081. That's one of the changes that we're going to make, or one of the diversions from the guide. And then on your keyboard, you're going to hit the Control Save key and then the Control X key to exit, just to save your changes. And now we get to install the database. So you could use sudo apt-get sudo apt install Miria database server or sudo apt install MySQL server. I have Miria DB already installed, so I'm not gonna continue with this step, but you could then make the choice to choose. So whichever one you choose, either one works with Koha. It's not gonna be that big of a problem. Now it will ask you if you are going with MySQL, um, you will have a couple of prompts, and for that you could just follow this guide where it says that you answer the first prompt with no and then the rest of the prompts with yes. So you could set your database password. After you install the database, you have to enable Apache mod rewrite and mod CGI. So these are to help you interact with your database server. So you have sudo, just copy this. Right. Mine says it's already enabled because again I did this already, but it should now enable this module. Now to enable the CGI module, now we have to restart the service. Okay. After that, we have to edit the ports. So the ports, this has to do with your network. So just copy this, hit paste. Now, again, they say you need to have listen 8001 and listen 8002. We're not doing that. You're going to have listen 8080 and listen 8081. Hit your Control Save key or Control S and then you Control X to exit out. And now we're going to actually create the library instance. Now here they have a library. So this word here, this library word here, this is where your library name is going to go. So I already have an instance up and running. So I'm going to create a new instance. So I'm just gonna copy this. And I'm gonna create a new instance called K library. Right. Remember your library name because you're gonna kind of need that for when you go to do your actual sign in once all of this is done. Now we have to enable certain modules and cite and repart the ape hash. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this. And then copy, paste, enter. Now we have to get the default password for our Koha copy. Now you don't need to follow this. What you actually want to do, you want to put in Koha pass WD for password, and then you put in your library name. My library name is K_library. You want to copy, either write down or copy this password because this is going to be the initial password to get you into the staff. This is like basically for the staff or not for the staff login, for the admin login. So this is what is going to initially get you into Koha so you could change your password to your actual school password and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you have this copied somewhere. Then just hit enter again, and that's we're almost done. We're almost at the end. So close terminal. Now you want to go and shut down the virtual machine because we have to change some stuff in settings. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do after you shut down the virtual machine, you're going to go into settings. Then you're going to go to network, and then you're going to click on port forwarding. Now I have guest login and staff login. You could have two separate names if you want, but doesn't make any difference. You're leaving the host IP and the guest IP blank, but in host port for guest login you're putting 8080, same with guest port, and then for staff login you're putting 8081 and 8081. Click OK, OK again. It will save the settings, and then you could click start to open back up the virtual machine. Okay, so to test and make sure everything is working, we're going to go back on Firefox. Going to go back on Firefox. And we're going to go to 127.0.0.1 colon 8080 and then hit enter. And it should lead you to this page. Under username, now you can use your terminal to get your username and get your password if you didn't copy your password from before, or if you're not sure what your username is. It is usually Koha underscore whatever your library name is, but just to make sure, we could actually bring up our terminal. Put that up in the corner and then keep it on screen. And then do the same Koha password library. And remember, this library has to be the name of your library system. The one I made before was K underscore library. I'm just going with my, actually let me go with K underscore library. Okay, so this is your username, and this is what you're going to enter in your username. And then this is your password. This is what you're going to copy and you're going to put in password. So K underscore library, and this is the page that is supposed to come up next. So you're going to choose your, they're going to start you off, so you have to choose your language, your dependencies, database setting, setting up your database, all that stuff.